Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first of two videos about the Pythagorean theorem. For today, we're going to be talking about it. I'm sure most of you have heard of it. Maybe you already know the formula that I'm about to write over here, or I just wrote over here. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. But now we've got to figure out what on earth that means, where it applies, how do we use it. Okay, so let's imagine we have a right triangle. All triangles have three sides. In a right triangle, the side that is opposite the right angle is called the hypotenuse. It is the longest side. And what we have is a rule that tells us if our first side, A, and our second side, B, we call these two sides the legs, are squared separately and then added together, then the number we get is always going to be the square of the hypotenuse. This is only true for right triangles, and it's incredibly helpful when you're going to use it all the time in geometry. So if we happen to have like a grid, you could draw a triangle for yourself that had a right angle and label one of the sides 3, label one of the sides, 4. If you measure it properly, draw your vertices. If you took a ruler and you measure the third side, that third side would by definition have to be 5, because 3 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared, or equals 5 squared according to the Pythagorean theorem. 9 plus 16 equals 25, and that actually works. These three numbers are called a Pythagorean triple. They're very helpful. They're very special. You're going to learn all about these. And at some point, someone's going to really prove this to you, show you that it has to work in all times, in all cases, for every right triangle. That's not what we're doing today. Today, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem to find lengths. So if we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared, a and b are our legs. So our legs are 8 meters and 6 meters, and our hypotenuse is c. You could also write an x there. And then we substitute these numbers into the formula. Shall we say, plug it in. And we get 64 plus 36 equals c squared. 100 equals c squared. And that means c has to equal 10. Okay, some of you might be saying to me, couldn't c also be negative 10? But it's a triangle, and triangles can't have negative lengths, and we'll talk about radical equations so soon, and we'll have exciting conversations about that. So that's our first kind of example. We were given the leg, we are asked to find the hypotenuse. Now, what if we are given the hypotenuse and asked to find the leg? So we're missing this side here. I'm going to call it A. You could call it B. It doesn't make a difference. We write out our Pythagorean theorem, and when we sub it in, we get something completely different. In terms of placement, we don't know what A squared is, but we know that B squared is 24, and you can certainly use a calculator to find these numbers, but I want you to show all your work. Certainly, if you try to turn something into me that doesn't have all the work shown, that won't be sufficient. But you could, like, for example, ask your calculator what the square of 24 is, and if you did 24 times 24, you'd get 576, but I still expect you to be showing as much work as I'm showing here. You should all know that the square of 25 is 625, and then this is an equation. I know how to solve this. We haven't really solved that many radical equations yet, but this one is pretty straightforward. 625 minus 576. Want to make sure we don't make any errors. That's 49. Goodness me. Our A is a beautiful, perfect, rational number. Now, there are going to be some examples that have radicals in them. And you're going to be fine with those because you know how to play with radicals. Is a triangle with sides 5, 8, and 10 a right triangle? So this is the third kind of problem we're going to ask you today. And remember that the hypotenuse has to be the longest side. So I'm going to put a little question mark here. Is that a right angle? And we are going to sub it into the Pythagorean theorem and ask ourselves, is what we get a true statement? Is 5 squared plus 8 squared really 10 squared? Well, that's 25. Then that's 64. And that's 100. So, nope. Okay, so some of these are going to have pretty answers, and some of them are going to have irrational answers. So for example, if you got the answer root 26, right? You could give an exact answer, and that would mean like a root, like root 26. And it could also mean, and we're also going to ask you for an approximate answer. So if I want to do root 26, I type 26 into my calculator, and I hit the square root button, and now I know that it's 5.099, so I'm going to write or 5.1. Okay? So for all of these, give it a try. Let me, if you're still watching this video, let me show you one more just to show you how this works. I always recommend drawing a triangle. This one has a leg that's 2 feet, and this one has an hypotenuse that's 3 feet, and this is A. And A squared plus 2 squared equals 3 squared. And so just like we simplified before, equals, not plus, we're going to get numbers on either sides. We're going to subtract to isolate A squared. And I don't know what A is as a rational number, but I certainly know how to take the square root of 5. So I can write that A is the square root of 5. And then I can go punch that into my calculator and say, what is that? It's about 2.24. You can just write 2.2. About 2.2 feet. I got to use my, these are all lengths. I got to use my units. Have fun and have a great day.